Hey Central Region fam, I'm Rachel. I'm so excited to talk to you during your SC2. I remember my first SC2 and how exhausted I was because I'd done so many appointments over the last couple weeks, and how exhilarating it was to be surrounded by such enthusiastic and impressive people. So I commend you for being here. I'm Rachel Richards, and not only am I a former Cutco sales rep, but I'm also a former financial advisor, a 2 times best-selling author, and a real estate investor. But what people find most intriguing about me is that I retired at the age of 27. I'm now living off over $15,000 per month in passive income, and my husband and my dog and I are traveling all over the US. I'm actually recording this message from Sonoma, California. And while that sounds very glamorous and appealing, the journey to get here was anything but that. The truth is, I had to do a lot of boring, tedious money management things first. And I made countless mistakes. I started learning about money when I started selling Cutco, so I was 18 years old. I was in your shoes. Today, Adam and I want to give you 3 tips that will help you while you're young set yourself up for achieving financial independence well before age 65. Does that sound good? All right, let's get started. Let's get into the good stuff first, how to fire yourself. Now, have any of you heard of that acronym before? It's something I came across just a couple years ago. FIRE stands for Financial Independence, Retire Early. For example, I fired myself at age 27. I quit my job, I became financially independent. If that sounds appealing to you, then listen up, because I want to tell you about passive income. Now, the way that we've traditionally saved for retirement is what I call the nest egg theory. This theory says that you should work 40-hour weeks for 40 years of your life, invest all your money into the stock market, and then by the age of 65, you'll have accumulated a nest egg, a big chunk of money, so that you can finally retire. The thing is, the nest egg theory used to work really well, but times have changed, and the way we've approached retirement hasn't changed at all. For example, I know you guys can relate to this one. The cost of college has ballooned, placing an enormous burden on our generation. Another big change, and this one's kind of alarming, is that the Social Security Trust Fund is projected to be fully depleted by the year 2035. So we can't even necessarily rely on Social Security to be there for us when we retire. And pensions are a thing of the past. Now it's up to you to save for your own retirement. What people are saying is that millennials will need to accumulate at least $2 million by age 65 in order to retire. $2 million! I don't know about you guys, but I don't know many multimillionaires. So the thought of having to save $2 million just sounds really daunting and overwhelming. All right, so that's enough bad news. The good news is that there's an alternative way to approach retirement, and it's called passive income. Now, passive income is kind of this buzzword right now, and there's a lot of misinformation around what it is and how it works. So let me tell you how I define it. Passive income is money that is earned with little to no ongoing effort. Is it a get-rich-quick scheme? Absolutely not. Passive income takes time or money to create it. And once you have it going, once you've spent that initial time or money to create a passive income stream, then later on it becomes very hands-off, and that's really when it becomes passive. Now, is anything truly passive? Maybe the money that you can earn from your stock portfolio. The problem is you have to have tons of capital invested in the stock market to generate any meaningful kind of revenue. And I don't know about you guys, but when I started this journey to passive income, I was flat out broke, so that wasn't really an option for me. There are so many types of passive income streams though. Most of them require a few hours a month or a couple hours a week of work just to maintain them. But to me, that is way more passive than a 9-to-5 job. Get this, the epiphany I had a few years ago is that once your passive income exceeds your living expenses, you're retired, you're financially independent. And I thought to myself, it sounds easier to come up with $5,000 or $6,000 or $8,000 a month in passive income than it does to try to save $2 million by age 65. So that's what I started working towards. A couple of my passive income streams include rental income. So I own a big portfolio of real estate, and each month I earn rental income without having to do a lot of work. Another example of a passive income stream that I have are my 2 best-selling books. For example, I spent 9 months in 2017 writing and self-publishing my first book, Money Honey. Self-publishing is a great example of something that generates royalty income. You create it once, right? So I did all of the hard work writing the book up front, and now I just have to do some minimal marketing to keep up my book sales. And I now earn over $5,000 per month from my 2 books. So that's another example. But trust me when I tell you there are tons of passive income streams out there, so there is definitely something for you. Now, the good news for you all is that selling Cutco and opening a branch office puts you at an enormous advantage for achieving financial independence and generating passive income. Why? Because you're learning management skills, sales skills, entrepreneurship. You have the ability to set your own hours. You have the ability to make as much money as you want selling Cutco. It sets you up perfectly to start your own side hustles or to create passive income or to save a ton of money so that you can quit your job later. So I want to commend you all for doing that because not every person has the mindset or the willingness to do that in the first place. Okay, for the second tip, I want to ask you all a question, and I'm going to pause so that you have a chance to shout out your answers. So be thinking, it's just a guessing game, it's really fun, but be thinking of what your answer is going to be. Are you ready? Okay, if I gave you a penny and I told you to double it every day for a month, how much money do you think you'd have at the end of the month? So let me say that again. If I gave you a penny and I told you to double it every day for a month, how much money do you think you'd have at the end of the month? Go ahead and shout out your answers, and I'll wait. Okay, are you guys ready for the answer? The answer is you would have $5,368,709. Isn't that crazy? Over $5 million, all from doubling a penny for 30 days. This illustrates the power of time and the power of compounding. As you can see on the chart, the first 15 days, they're not all that exciting. You have a couple $100, and then it slowly starts to pick up. And then right around day 24, it just takes off. Take a look at the graph version of this chart. On the horizontal axis, you have the days. On the vertical axis, you have the amount of money. And you can see that that arrow is pointing to day 24, where it shoots straight up. Now imagine those are years instead of days. Obviously, in the real world, you won't be doubling your investment every year, but the concept still holds true. The power of time and the power of compounding. So imagine these are years instead of days. If you're 20 years old and you have 30 years until retirement, how important are those last few years for increasing your money? They are crucial. That is why you must start investing now. Get this, even if you don't have a ton of money, even if you don't pick the best investments, you will still be better off than an expert investor who waits 10 years to start investing. Don't give yourself an excuse. Start investing now. The best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is today. Now, I've coached Gen Z, millennials, women for years on these topics. And the people who take action and are committed to growing themselves, and I'm guessing if you're attending SC2 and watching this video, then that's you, those are the ones that are able to achieve financial independence. I want you to know that anyone at any age, on any income, can achieve financial independence, and I am here to cheer you on. With that, I'm going to turn it over to Adam Stock, who will give you the third tip and then wrap up. Thank you all so much.
All right, well, those were great tips that you heard from Rachel, and I'm going to wrap up with the third tip, and that tip is about savings and withholdings. If you're a rep trying to earn a spot on the Leadership Academy or thinking about opening up your own office next summer, withholding and savings for your startup is going to be really critical. In fact, your manager may have already started talking to you about this. You'll want to be aiming for $3,000, $5,000, or if you really want to go above and beyond, $10,000 or more. Regardless of what your goal is for savings, it's really important that you have this on your radar screen. So how do you go about saving money between now and then and getting that into withholdings? A couple tips here. First of all, this might seem like a simple concept, but it's not easy. There's really 3 ways that you can grow your income and savings, and then also by extension your wealth. The first one is to earn more money. The second one is to decrease your expenses. And then the third one is some combination of the two. In the end, increasing the gap between how much you earn and how much you spend. And there's a lot of people that make a lot of money and spend a lot of money. Those people are rich people. We might say in Texas, they say, big hat, no cattle. So if you really want to build your savings and build true wealth, you've got to expand the gap between this is how much you earn and this is how much you spend. The great thing about Cutco, of course, is that you can work more, do more demos, see better target prospects, and sell more Cutco. As far as the expenses, you might just think about what are some of the habits that you're in regularly that maybe you could cut back on. Is it possible that you could get a different cell phone plan if you're paying for your cell phone plan? Is it possible that you have a habit that you smoke cigarettes and you could cut back on that? Could you have a Starbucks habit? You could maybe, instead of going every day, could you go every other day? It's really amazing to see how your savings can change when your habits change. And then the last thing I'm going to say is to booby trap yourself for success. And so, what are the things that you can do so that you're just running into success? Every paycheck you have, can you have some of that paycheck go into savings and withholdings? Some people will be easier for you to save $1,000 and write a check for $1,000 into your withholdings, but you might also, every check that you get, save 10%, 20%, 50%, and then just immediately set that aside. That idea of booby trapping yourself for success is something that can help you in a lot of different areas of your life. The other day, I was on a trip, and my wife loved barbecue sauce, and I bought her some barbecue sauce. I put it in the refrigerator, and I thought to myself, there's a reasonable chance that I'm going to forget this barbecue sauce that's in the refrigerator, and so I put my car keys on top of the barbecue sauce in the refrigerator. And so that way, if I had gotten to my car and wasn't able to open it, then that was a way that I would make sure that I would not only be able to drive home, but also be able to deliver that barbecue sauce to my wife. And so just a reminder, look for ways that you can booby trap yourself for success in life. So to wrap up here, just 3 summarizing tips. Number 1, think about how you can leverage your current opportunity with Cutco to build passive income or other income streams so that you can work towards financial independence. Number 2, invest at a young age. And number 3, if you're working towards a savings goal in your withholdings account, make sure to decrease your expenses and increase your income, with the obvious choice being to sell more Cutco. I wanted to bring us to the end with a couple quick commercials. First is for Rachel's course, and so Rachel is rolling out a program that's exclusively for TLA representatives. If you get accepted into TLA, you could potentially have the opportunity to sign up for this program. The program is called, are you ready for this? Get Your Financial Shit Together, not my program. It's an online course where Rachel walks you through a lot of different success tips, all of her secrets, hacks, tips, and tricks for getting ahead financially, covering topics like tracking your expenses, budgeting, saving, student loans, credit cards, taxes, and in a very fun and engaging way. So the course also includes a free copy of her book, and you get to join her WhatsApp texting group. So I don't want to say any more, but ask your district manager or division manager about it to see if you'll have the opportunity to enroll and work with Rachel more. And you'll hear more about Rising Stock, which is my company, which helps branches and district managers primarily with profitability and bookkeeping services for Cutco representatives and managers as well. Thanks very much for tuning in, and I wish you success with the rest of your conference. Take care.